Wake up, it's over. In the company's training room, Shi Qian was drowsy, and suddenly woke up when he heard a familiar voice calling him. The half-dream and half-awake state is broken, and the whole person feels like a world away. After passing through for more than half a year, the days remain calm. Looking at the female colleague who cared about him, Shi Qian nodded subconsciously. Are you okay? Why is your face so bad? Hehe, there has been a lot of overtime recently, maybe because of lack of sleep. No matter how hard you make money, you have to spend your life. Here is for you. I think you are almost out of the content of the manager training, and I must have not heard it. I see, Sister Xia, thank you. Looking at Wang Xia, who was a few years older than him, Shi Qian squeezed a smile and accepted the notebook she was handing over. Shiqian, a 27-year-old male, is a 3-year salesperson in a sales company in the Federal Harbor area. His performance is average and he can barely support himself. Recently, new products have been launched. How to invite old customers to come back and open up new customer groups has become an important strategic goal of the company over a period of time. Several weeks of high-intensity overtime work really made him a little unbearable. Glanced at the time, it was already 10:30. Today's training session lasted for more than 2 hours, and tomorrow I have to submit a summary. The new customers retained last week must also be counted, and a general customer profile analysis should be done. It is estimated that when the time is finished, it must be wee hours again. Coming out of the training room, the company's sales team was still brightly lit. Colleagues were all looking down and writing something. Shi Qian seemed a little awake. Those pen nibs fell on the paper, making a slight rustling sound, which was clearly transmitted into his ear. Finance and personnel and other areas have already gone out. Tokizan patted his cheek lightly with his hand, and he was quite awake from the dazed state, and his voice also disappeared. Although this sales job is hard and tiring, the salary is abnormally high. This is also the key to my colleague's constant resistance to pressure. After all, feeding the horse to have the strength to run. Back to her seat, Wang Xia sat next to her, surrounded by the desk, immersed herself in work. Shi Qian put the notebook she gave herself on the table. The black leather cover is covered with a few small cartoon stickers. They are all handsome and beautiful male characters. There seems to be some scented lavender in the notebook. The faint scent is tangy, and I can't help laughing. Wang Xia is a veteran of the company. It is said that he has some unusual relationships with the director. Although she is usually capable, she never thought she was still a woman in her bones. To live, everyone wears masks, even in the small town of Harbor. The coffee in the porcelain cup has bottomed out. Shi Qian dragged his tired body to the rest area. There was still half a bucket of coffee in the coffee machine, which was of course prepared by the manager in advance. Look at you, if you don't drink milk tea for you, you have to drink coffee, and you will have insomnia when you go back. In the smoking area a few meters away, Su Lang pushed open the glass door and stuck his head out, still with a nearly burnt cigarette in his mouth, and said vaguely towards Shiqian. Su Lang, who is about the same age as Shiqian, joined the company together, and was in the same sales group. He is a bit close to Shiqian, but his performance is always the champion in the group, and he is appreciated by the manager. It is estimated that he will be promoted to supervisor in the second half of the year. NS. It's not that you don't know, I don't like to drink milk tea, besides, it doesn't depend on coffee to continue my life. I am afraid that I will not sleep insomnia, but sleep for a long time. Life extension? This thing is the treasure of life extension. Su Lang looked at Shiqian contemptuously, pinched out the cigarette in his hand, and exhaled a breath of immortality at him. Shiqian frowned, waved the wafting smoke with his hand, and took 2 steps back slightly. This guy Su Lang is addicted to smoking like his life. 1 pack a day is considered a small quit. Drinking is even more massive. He often takes the drunkenness of the client to get drunk, but Shikian is just the opposite. It is alcohol allergy and mild cleanliness. In Su Lang's words, Shikian, you are not born for sale. These two people happened to live in the same dormitory. They were roommates. They were assigned to the company with the original at that time. If the rents in the surrounding rental houses were too expensive, Shi Qian would have moved out. After all, Shikian, as a good youth model of the Federation in the new century, is clean all over, especially in his pocket. Have you done your analysis? I'll show you a little bit later. Su Lang came out of the smoking room, half squinted, leaning against the bar, and asked casually. No, you go back first, I guess it will be a long time. It's okay, I'll wait for you. I don't worry about you going back alone. The recent harbor news has reported a number of missing people, most of them are men, so boys must protect themselves when they are outside. And your performance this month is very poor. The manager asked me to take you. Don't think about Xiali's mess all the time, you know? The forest outside is gorgeous and colorful. I went to and came out to give you a hand. After saying that, before Shikian refused, Su Lang turned around and went into the men's bathroom. In order to improve the overall plan of the company, each team has arranged a plan to lead the performance champion. Because Su Lang's performance has always been good, and he lives in the same dormitory with Shikian, so every time the manager is close to the team's performance, let him take Shikian. But Shi Qian knew in his heart that Su Lang, this guy, is the first one, the next one. In order to improve his performance in the past 6 months, he has deliberately or unintentionally pried many customers in his hands, and the relationship between the two has gradually faded. Due to Su Lang's contacts in the company, and those customers seemed to be infused with ecstasy, when Shi Qian called again, he changed his tone and said that he did not know him, so he could only swallow his breath. After all, who would believe that a long-term performance champion would go to win sales customers with poor performance? It's not too late. It has been decided. Later, Su Lang will come out and ask him to analyze the table. He definitely will not give it again, even if Su Lang will tell the manager that he will not cooperate with the work. Holding the coffee, Shi Qian returned to his seat, but did not notice something flickering in the coffee machine behind him. I don't know if it is the cause of mental fatigue. When he sat down just now, he seemed to feel the light above his head dimmed. It may be anemia. After the meeting is over, go to see if the pharmacy is still open, and buy some oral liquid that nourishes qi and blood. Shikian thought to himself, while drinking a bitter coffee, he recovered a lot of energy. Go away, Ahwa. Be careful on the road. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Understood. Many colleagues in the company finished their work and left. Soon there were very few people left in the sales team. Only Wang Xia and himself were left in the 8 teams. The lights in some teams were turned off and the entire office building was dim. It's a bit. The content of the training tonight has finally been sorted out. Shi Qianchong breathed a sigh of relief and stretched his waist. Just now, he was immersed in work. Unknowingly, an hour has passed, and the coffee is almost finished. It's almost 11 o'clock, why didn't Su Lang ask me to analyze the table? Seeing the coffee, Shikian remembered back, this guy said that he went to and came back to find the person who wanted to analyze the table. He thought about how to refuse, but no one came. Have you had hemorrhoids for so long? Sizzle, a piercing electric sound came from the top of his head, the light flickered. Shi Qian thought silently in his heart that there will be no blackouts, and then the lights on the entire office floor went out instantly and plunged into darkness. Damn, my crow's mouth! I went, why the power went out? I must have not paid the electricity bill again. His Laozi document hasn't been saved yet. Fortunately, I am witty and turned on cloud synchronization. In the dark, the rest of the sales team cursed, and they looked the same as before. They didn't pay enough for their electricity bills. A big company, they deducted and searched this place. Adapted to more than 10 seconds, barely able to see the surroundings through the lights of the city outside. Shiqian suddenly noticed that Wang Xia, who was sitting next to her, remained silent and did not raise her head. She could barely see the outline of her body in the dark, and she was still lying on her desk and writing something. The rustle of the writing pen rubbing against the paper clearly came into his ears again. Silent and weird. Shiqian's half-stretched hand froze. He was going to pat Wang Xia on the shoulder, but the latter's weird behavior made him a little uneasy. At this time, the remaining colleagues in the company who were still working overtime picked up their phones and turned on the flash. Among them, Yan Junyi, the supervisor of 6 groups, said loudly, "Everyone, go back tonight, now the property is off work, come back tomorrow morning." "But Director Yan, my analysis table is not ready yet." Lu Qingqing, who is also in the 6th group, said timidly. She was naturally afraid of the dark, but fortunately everyone turned on the flash, otherwise she would have screamed. "It's okay, I will tell the manager tomorrow, and I will go back." "Okay then." Everyone had no choice but to accept this fact, and began to organize their desks with the help of the flash of their mobile phones. Gurgle. Shiqian swallowed, and he heard every word of the conversation with his colleagues, and Wang Xia must be the same. With the light scattered from their side, Shi Qian found that Wang Xia's body had not changed at all, like a machine, she had been writing things, as if she hadn't heard what everyone said. Bursts of chill came out of my heart for no reason. "Xia, Sister Xia, I'm going back first." Trembling Shiqian picked up the phone on the table and walked away quickly, not caring about Wang Xia's state and whether Su Lang was still in the toilet. Intuitively, he felt something was wrong, something was wrong. "Shiqian, are you stupid to work overtime? Sister Xia has already left." "She left when the training session was over." Yan Junyi heard Shiqian's words, holding a mobile phone with a flash on his hand, and shining over here. Shiqian had just left his seat, and Yan Junyi's words were like a bolt from the blue sky, exploding in his heart. "Wang Xia has already left. I clearly remember that she has been sitting next to her since the beginning. And the rustle of writing, so clear, is it that you are in a nervous state?" Pressured his anxiety, Shi Qian turned on the flash of his phone and looked back. The brightness of the latest Michong mobile phone is very good, and all the seats in the entire sales group of 8 are all illuminated at once. There is no one. Maybe I am really confused. Go back, take a good rest tonight, I can finally sleep for 7 hours. Yan Junyi guessed that Shiqian was really dizzy after working overtime, and spoke out of the concern of his colleagues. Shiqian replied, suppressing the anxiety in his heart, and walked towards the gate. "I'm going, why can't this door be opened? No one will insert the key outside, right? Hey? No? Who is so boring? What should I do? Call to find the unlocker. This is the only way to go. Let me fight. If I check the surveillance and find out who it is tomorrow, I have to beat him to death." When I came to the company's gate, there were already 4 or 5 people around. One of them tried 4 or 5 times with the light of the mobile phone, but found that the key could not be inserted at all, as if someone had blocked the keyhole outside. Same. Yan Junyi also came to the gate, found this situation, and began to flip through the locksmith's phone number in the address book. The anxiety in Shiqian's heart got worse. "Beep, beep, beep, the call you dialed is temporarily unanswered, please try again later." Made 3 calls in a row, but no one answered. What's the situation? Isn't this unlocker open 24 hours? Why can't I get through today? It's weird. Yan Junyi looked depressed. By the way, isn't Wang Xia's house living on the 18th floor? She shouldn't be asleep now, so it's fine to call her to come down and open the door. Lu Qingqing suddenly remembered that the company is on the 6th floor, and Wang Xia's house lives on the 18th floor upstairs, and immediately said, "Oh yes, I almost forgot about it, I'll call. Soon Yan Junyi dialed Wang Xia's number. In the dark office building, only the company gate is converged and illuminated by the flash of the mobile phone. Looking forward to your discovery, my love, running towards you, cell phone ringing suddenly ringing from inside the company, the source is exactly the direction of the sales of the 8 groups. Shiqian Zi felt that his whole body was irritated by electric current, and his hair was stunned. Wang Xia's phone was lost at the company? Absolutely impossible. The one who had been sitting next to her before was Wang Xia. Several people who heard the ringing of their mobile phones raised their heads and turned their attention from Yan Junyi's mobile phone to the dark company. Sister Xia's mobile phone is in the company. Yan Junyi spoke in confusion, then hung up. The echoing cell phone ringing stopped abruptly. The whole floor of the office building is a bit horrible quiet. Rustle. The sound of the pen tip rubbing against the paper was heard clearly again. This time, not only Shiqian, but everyone present heard it. There seems to be someone there. Following the position of the voice, Lu Qingqing saw that there was a figure in the seat belonging to Wang Xia who was immersed in work. Seen from behind, the mechanical movement is a bit stiff, but because it is too dark, it can barely see a contour or shadow. Is exactly the same as what Tausen had seen before. Sister Xia. Yan Junyi frowned. He had clearly seen Wang Xia leave the company before. He said that her husband came back from the field tonight and went home early to accompany him. He was teased before leaving. Why are you back again? Tentatively shouted, without answering, Yan Junyi walked a few steps inside, so that the flash of the mobile phone could barely shine the light on Wang Xia's seat. The next scene directly made him dumbfounded. Under the flashing light, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Wang Xia's seat was empty, as if the shadow she saw in the dark just now was just an illusion. But the rustling in everyone's ears continued. Yan Junyi removed the flash subconsciously, and Wang Xia's black shadow reappeared. This time, the movement was a lot louder, and the sound came into her ears with a bit of tingling. Then pointed the phone again, the figure disappeared, and the sound remained the same. This strange situation scared him back a few steps. I have seen Wang Xia's back lying on the desk, why the phone disappears as soon as the person is photographed? And what is the sound of this writing? Could it be that? Haunted? In the dark office building, the weird atmosphere permeated to the apex. Everyone's hearts were like full bowstrings. No one dared to exhale loudly, for fear that a mouth that had already mentioned the heart of the throat would fall out. The horror game system is loaded successfully. Novice copy generation task objective, find a way to leave the treacherous company, difficulty warm reminder, everything in the dungeon is real, including death, arrange time reasonably, enjoy a healthy life, I wish you a happy game. An icy reminder sounded abruptly in everyone's ears, except for a few hours, it seemed a little different. The horror game system is loaded, error, mutation. The host's body is abnormal, warn. Detected a special soul, the code is abnormal. The system is loaded, I wish you a happy game. What? Shi Qian didn't react at all, and the beep in his mind stopped. Thriller game system? Leaving the treacherous office building? Is Wang Xia weird? The death of the copy is the real death. A series of keywords made him a little confused. The Federation does not have online novels, but Shiqian's soul comes from the earth. In his previous life, he was a complete fan of online novels, especially horror novels. This style of painting is so familiar to him. It was also an important reason for the uneasiness in the strange scene before. Me, have a supernatural game loaded? What the is mutation, is it a golden finger? The expressions of colleagues around it seemed that everyone had received a prompt. I thought I was the most ordinary traverser, and could only live a lifeless life in the company, but I didn't expect to have gold fingers after all. But this golden finger, it seems a bit dangerous. There is a ghost in my head. Someone is talking in my ear, saying that Wang Xia is a ghost. The colleagues who received the reminder looked horrified, which was beyond their normal cognition, especially Lu Qingqing, who was born timid and sat on the ground. Only Shiqian is still calm. Where is Director Yan? He is gone. The panicked people finally discovered another horrible thing. Yan Junyi, who had walked out a few steps before, disappeared. A gleaming mobile phone was lying quietly on the wooden floor. Next to it were several clearly visible white marks, which seemed to be traces of nails on the ground. The traces continued to extend until they were completely submerged in the darkness and disappeared. The sound of nails rubbing against the wooden floor is normally impossible to hear, so there is only one possibility that Yan Junyi was dragged into the darkness by Wang, ghost. Tokizan immediately confirmed this fact in his mind. I feel that there is no error, combined with the system prompts just now, Wang Xia has become a ghost now. At this moment, the sound of writing disappeared, and the back figure in the darkness was also gone. The flashlight in the empty company seemed to be inadequate, and the surroundings were pitch black. It seemed that some monsters might burst out of it at any time, tearing them to pieces one by one. Wu, I don't want to die, who will help me? Lu Qingqing, who has a weak psychological endurance ability, squatted down, tears streaming down uncontrollably. Damn, don't cry. Someone must be tricking us. I don't play anymore, I will kick if I don't open the door. The person who spoke was Wang Xiudong, who was standing next to Lu Qingqing, who was selling a group. The strange atmosphere in the office building made him a little unbearable. The sound in his ears just now must be an illusion caused by nervousness. He had a feeling of being teased, and he got angry, walked to the locked anti-theft door, and shouted. But the cold security door didn't react at all, as if silently mocking him. Fuck, you forced me. The other people didn't stop him, everyone was stunned at this time, Shi Qian also didn't make a sound. Wang Xiudong raised his foot. He usually likes to exercise. His body is much stronger than that of Shiqian. He kicked towards the security door. The collision in imagination did not happen, and even more horrifying scenes appeared. The anti-theft door was like an illusory thing. The moment Wang Xiudong kicked it, ripples appeared. The black ripples resembled a quagmire, and it made a light sound of bursting bubbles. Then swallowed Wang Xiudong's right foot directly. Fuck! What is this? This door is a ghost. It must be a ghost. Just now the voice said, this place has been invaded by weirdness. Accompanied by the words of colleagues, Wang Xiudong was sweating coldly. He felt his feet entangled in the cold breath and lost consciousness. Forbearing fear, he tried to pull his right foot away. The next scene directly caused Lu Qingqing, who was standing next to Wang Xiudong, to spit out. Wang Xiudong did pull his foot back, but his right foot had turned into a dense white bone, and there was still some rotten meat remaining in the calf bone, as if it had not been eaten up. I didn't notice it when I was entangled in the cold breath before. At this moment, the pain in my heart gushed out, and Wang Xiudong screamed and passed out on the spot. At the same time, Shiqian's body suddenly sent feedback. A message was suddenly transmitted from his own eyes, which was transmitted to the center of the brain, and a blurry picture was generated, like playing a videotape. What's wrong with me? My body seems to have autonomous consciousness? The information fed back from all parts of the body is all gathered in the mind, and the body at the moment is like a precision instrument. The information is accurate, and the rustle of writing reappears, the direction, the darkness on the right-hand side, is for Wang Xiudong. Several colleagues are about to lean over to observe Wang Xiudong's situation. Leave him quickly! Shiqian shouted immediately, and several people were taken aback for a moment, and it was this one that saved their lives. In the darkness, a huge shadow suddenly struck, and directly hit Wang Xiudong's body. The three people around, including Lu Qingqing, screamed in shock, and crawled away from Wang Xiudong's side. The huge shadow came quickly and went faster. Wang Xiudong's body disappeared, leaving a long blood mark on the wooden floor and plunged into the dark end. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Then what is that? Yang Xin, who was in the same sales group as Wang Xiudong, was full of horror and kept making noises. It must be a ghost. It must be a ghost. When it's over, we all have to die. We all have to die. Fatty Chin in the second sales group was even more frightened. The fat on his face was twisted into a ball, and tears could not be restrained from overflowing. The ground under his body was also soaked by the smelly liquid. Don't let him make a noise. Shiqian slapped Chinan on the face. Snapped. This slap directly slapped Fatty Chin in the dark. Turning his head to see the expression on Shi Qian's face, he swallowed the words that came to his lips. The expression of this guy is scarier than a ghost. Lu Qingqing was also shocked by Shiqian's aura, and then suddenly realized that he spoke immediately. Shiqian, how do you know that a ghost will attack Wang Xiudong? Fatty Chin also reacted when he heard Lu Qingqing's words. Just now Shi Qian reminded them a step in advance, otherwise he, Lu Qingqing and Yang Xin must have been dragged into the darkness. Yes, yes, how do you know? But I didn't wait for 1,000 to answer, the phones of several people seemed to have been arranged, and they went out at the same time, and the darkness flooded the four people like a tide. The office building fell into deathly silence. Unlike before, the neon lights around the office building seem to be isolated at this moment, and it has nothing to do with it. In the dark, Chinan leaned against the desk baffle, curled up in the corner, shaking, eyes tightly closed. It seems that as long as he doesn't open his eyes, he won't be attacked by ghosts. Yang Xin and Lu Qingqing also didn't dare to show up. They tried to turn on the phone several times, and the phone with sufficient battery power seemed to have lost its battery at this time. No need to try. In the darkness, Shiqian's voice was kept as low as possible. Shi. 1,000. Lu Qingqing probed for the sound source, and Yang Xin also looked over here. The few people were not too far apart. Lu Qingqing breathed a sigh of relief when she touched Shiqian's clothes. The most calm person at the moment obviously gave her a sense of security. Yang Xin also asked in a low voice towards the place Shiqian was before the light went out, but his voice was trembling. Just now, was it a ghost? Well, yes, Wang Xia should have become a ghost, although I don't know why. I think of the scene before the power outage, and I feel terrified. At that time, it was definitely the ghost who was sitting next to me and writing. Maybe I left early, and now I have watched paid programs in bed at home. From now on, don't speak loudly. Speak loudly? What do you mean? Why do you know so much? Lu Qingqing subconsciously suppressed her voice, and suddenly retracted her hand holding Shiqian's clothes. She couldn't see Shiqian's appearance in the dark, and she even wondered if another ghost was talking to her. Otherwise, how can normal people be so calm when they encounter such things? Yang Xin's feet moved a little bit back, and at the same time he held the phone tighter. There was something wrong. This was his only weapon. Even Fatty Chin, who was hiding in the corner, holding his knees and buried his head, stopped shrugging. After his own eyes realized the Yinling eye, the darkness seemed to be unable to block Shi Qian's sight. The reactions of several people were clearly in the eyes, but only a few meters around, and no matter how far away it was pitch black. It seems that only oneself received the word prompt. Think carefully about it, it should be related to the mutation that occurred when the game was loaded. At the moment when darkness fell just now, a cold reminder sounded in his mind again. Host code exception code. Hide the details. The golden finger is here. Yan Junyi and Wang Xiudong were indeed attacked by ghosts only after yelling. After confirming that the other three hadn't made such a notice, Shi Qian spoke. My guess. Lu Qingqing's expression was stunned, Yang Xin's retreat was slow for a while, and Fatty Chin on the ground buried his head in his legs again, not disgusting the smell at all. From the point of view of the attacks on team leader Yan and Wang Xiudong, only this explanation is reasonable. The prompt just now said that this is a novice dungeon. It is definitely not that difficult. If ghosts attack indiscriminately, then we should all be dead, and the novice dungeon is also. It doesn't make any sense. Shiqian looked around, combined with the news of the abnormal code, and expressed his own thoughts, not to establish something, but to make the three of them believe in themselves for the time being, especially Fatty Chin. This guy is a safety hazard. If these three people make a big noise and go crazy, causing the ghost to attack again and spread to themselves, then it will be troublesome. There is only one fate, he doesn't believe that he will go through the resurrection again. I agree with what Shizen said. Yang Xian's words surprised Shi Qian. I also agree. Lu Qingqing's expression of fear on Lu Qingqing's face eased slightly, and he thought to himself that ghosts should not be so scary, so he would reason and analyze. Shiqian should be an individual. Even Fatty Chin, who was shrinking on the ground, raised his head slightly, looked at Shi Qian's position, and said nothing. Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing both agreed with their views. Shi Qian was relieved. Began to carefully recall the previous system notifications. Novice copy, the number of copies is 7. Task objective, find a way to leave the treacherous office building, difficulty E. Find a way to leave the treacherous office building. Just leave. There is no need to fight with ghosts, so there must be an exit. Everything in the copy is true. This is confirmed. The dead Wang Xiudong and Yan Junyi are the best proof. Now the smell of blood is still floating in the air. Suddenly Shi Qian seemed to think of something. Me, Yan Junyi, Wang Xiudong, Lu Qingqing, Yang Xian, Qinan, there are only 6 people, where is the 7th person? Is Wang Xia also a human? Impossible. Wang Xia is a ghost, absolutely. Correct. Su Lang. I clearly remembered that this guy went to the toilet before. You read www.yuyugonshu.com. He said that he came back to find his own analysis table, and it was impossible to pass the opportunity to pry some performance from Shiqian's hands and go straight back. Then there is only one possibility, he stayed in the toilet and didn't come out. Did he die at the beginning? Shiqian was not sure, and asked the three of them. Have you seen Su Lang tonight? In response to Shi Qian's sudden question, Yang Xian shook his head, and then realized that everyone could not see each other now, and then lowered his voice to speak. No, I didn't pay attention, what's the matter? At the beginning, the voice said that the number of participants in this dungeon was 7. We count the dead Yan Junyi and Wang Xiudong here, and there are only 6. You mean Su Lang is the 7th person? Impossible, maybe it is Wang Xia. It should be impossible. The system is talking about 7 people. If Wang Xia is a ghost, it will not be counted in the number of people. I saw him as if he went to the toilet and didn't come out again, but I answered the phone for a while in the middle of the way, maybe he left at that time. When Yang Xian was discussing with Shi Qian, Lu Qingqing spoke timidly. Did not wait for 1,000 to answer. Qinan, who was shrinking in the corner, seemed to stabilize his emotions, and said abruptly. He didn't come out. Before the power outage, I went to the toilet. Not only was this guy squatting in the pit, he was also brushing his cell phone. He was a big thief with a voice on, and he looked like a female anchor. According to Qinan, Su Lang should be in the toilet. I'm afraid it's already. But 7 people are right. Then only one of the abnormal code notifications that I know said in the notice that there was only one strange phenomenon before the power outage. As soon as I came out of the training room, I heard a clear rustle. That is the sound of the pen tip touching the paper. Is the same sound as Wang Xiafu's later writing on the desk. This voice has been ringing several times since then, especially when Yan Junyi walked to the dark figure in Wang Xia's seat, the voice became louder. Strange things happen at the same time. Could it be that the ghost is preventing people from approaching Wang Xia's seat? This guess was gradually enlarged in Shi Qian's heart. Shiqian felt that the normal emotions were gradually returning, and the surrounding gloom was invading, and the range of darkness that the ghost eyes could penetrate was much smaller. I think the sound of writing I heard before should be related to the way out. Impossible. Before Shiqian could finish speaking, Yang Xin immediately denied it, which he did not agree with. That weird sound appeared before, and Wang Xiudong would die. It was the sound of a ghost. Shiqian, are you serious? I think Brother Yang made sense. You were looking for Wang Xia before the power outage. Did you see anything at that time? Yang Xin is not unreasonable. Lu Qingqing believes that the sound of writing is the source of ghosts. The black shadow writing at the desk in the dark is in Wang Xia's seat, so the shadow must be Wang Xia who has become a ghost. After that, Wang Xiudong made a big movement as Shi Qian said, and then rustled and was attacked by the ghost. This set of logic is obvious. Shook his head secretly without being out of date. Compared to their judgment, I believe in the abnormal code message more. Even if Wang Xia is now a ghost, then before the creepy change, what she wrote must represent something. I must check it out clearly. I can't go out if I stay here. After a long time, I don't know if the ghost will change the way of killing. I still want to go and see. You stay here, and I will come back if I find a way out. Do not want. Lu Qingqing grabbed Shiqian's clothes. What did you see when the power went out? Why would you speak to an empty seat? After Lu Qingqing's reminder, Yang Xin also recalled the scene when the power went out. Shiqian spoke clearly to Sister Xia's seat at that time, but he was too far away to hear clearly. Later, when Yan Junyi had a conversation with Shi Qian, he heard it clearly, and it was all related to Wang Xia. Now Wang Xia is a ghost, then Shi Qian must know what they don't know. When I was out of power, Wang Xia was sitting next to me writing, and she was always there and never left. Shiqian's words are like a blockbuster, which set off a huge wave in the hearts of several people. You saw ghosts from the beginning. Qinan, who was shrinking on the ground, said in horror. He couldn't believe what Shi Qian said. No, Wang Xia at that time should not have completely turned into a ghost. Yang Xin frowned when he heard Shiqian's words, and then immediately spoke. You mean, Wang Xia left us a clue when she became a ghost? Do not rule out this possibility. Even if your speculation is true, we can't see anything now. How did we go? And there are ghosts around, if we run into it, we will all die. Shiqian would definitely not say that he can see a certain range, so the danger can still be controlled. As long as the message of the abnormal code is true, you will not be caught by ghosts when you tap the action. Risks and benefits coexist, so stay here if you don't go. Shiqian did not explain too much. Okay, I believe you, I will go with you. Yang Xin still chose to believe Shiqian. He also knew that staying in place would be a death sooner or later, and no one would come to rescue them. He hadn't seen it on the federal news, who could deal with ghosts. He is a gambler, just like Shiqian's last sentence, risks and benefits coexist. I will go too. Lu Qingqing clings to Shiqian's clothes, without any intention of letting go. Fat man, where are you? Yang Xin turned his head. Although he could not see clearly, he knew that Qinan was shrinking in the corner behind. I go. This is a bit surprised by Shiqian. Yang Xin, you are holding Lu Qingqing's clothes, Qinan is holding your clothes, I will take the lead. Everyone should move lightly, don't touch anything, and don't make any noise. Good. Agreed in unison. Because they were relatively close, the four people soon became a long snake formation with Shi Qian in the head, but in the end it became Yang Xin. Qinan said that he didn't want to stay in the third place at the end. Because Lu Qingqing is holding on to Shiqian, he ranked second. The visible range of the Yinling Eye was just behind Yang Xin, and it was completely dark in the distance. Shiqian walked very carefully. They were very familiar with this passage. They had walked countless times to and from get off work, but this time it was the slowest one. Fortunately, where there are trash cans and flower pots, they are clear in their hearts. Sails 1 group, 2 groups, and 3 groups. Soon, halfway through the journey, the surrounding area is empty, just like a normal company during the day. The abnormal code message didn't lie to himself. He had already walked beyond the place where Yan Junyi died before, and the ghost still did not attack them. But soon Shiqian found another problem. This problem was very serious. They seemed to have been walking in this familiar corridor for too long. You reading www.youkansha.com from the beginning to the present, at least 10 minutes have passed. As usual, I have already walked to the rest area. In order not to cause too much movement, I focused all my attention on the ground. At this moment, I realized that it was wrong, and Shi Qian turned his eyes to the office area to find out that the seats that were originally affixed to the signs are all at this moment. One thing. The things on the table seemed to be infested by darkness, and it was so blurred that it was deformed and could not be seen clearly. Ghost hits the wall? An old and familiar vocabulary. If this were the case, it would be impossible for them to find Wang Xia's seat. Just when doubts arose in his heart, the next second, a sudden change occurred. Yang Xin, who walked at the end, was the place where Yan Junyi disappeared. Shiqian walked past the phone that hadn't appeared before, and now appeared strangely at his feet. Yan Junyi fell on the floor. Because he couldn't see it, Yang Xin didn't notice it and kicked it directly. Day. Clatter. Clatter. In the silent company, the sound of mobile phones rolling on the ground is extremely clear. In an instant, Shi Qian's body was wet with cold sweat. The outer glass of the office building seems to be separated from the state of blocking the light, and the light and shadow of the neon lights are instantly scattered on several people. With these dim lights, Yang Xin, Lu Qingqing, and Qinan suddenly saw everything around them. Shiqian also saw the entire company clearly from a range of only 2 or 3 meters. The seat that was originally empty is now full of people. Every human figure is bowing his head and writing something. The action machinery is like a puppet, but it is neat and uniform. Numerous rustling sounds at the same time spread into the ears of several people, stabbing them in pain. Shiqian's face suddenly became gloomy. Wang Xia. Yang Xin's inner shock wave after wave, when he saw the corpse appeared strangely when Qian, he immediately whispered. Not far away, Lu Qingqing returned to her original position strangely, as if she had just stepped in place before. I have experienced enough weirdness tonight, she seems to have adapted a lot, but he didn't look at the corpse, but instead spoke to Shiqian. Can you deal with ghosts? Shiqian turned back suddenly, negative emotions occupied his mind. Lu Qingqing and Yang Xin in his eyes at this moment were not as interesting as this corpse. Shhh. Putting his index finger to his mouth, Shi Qian made a silent gesture, the corners of his mouth curled up, his hands were filled with black mist, like a ghost. Lu Qingqing was so frightened that she immediately closed her mouth tightly. Yang Xin was also silent. He didn't know why Shi Qian's temperament changed drastically, but compared to ghosts, he was still personal. The corpse lying on Wang Xia's seat, holding a black notebook in her arms, with colorful cartoon stickers on it, is the one lent to Shiqian before the change. Give me the notes. Tokichi leaned down and whispered softly in the ear of the corpse. Under the diffracted light of the neon lights outside the window, this scene is particularly frightening. Yang Xin stared at everything. If something was wrong, he would run away even if he didn't know where to run, but Lu Qingqing didn't dare to look at it. He leaned back and connected to the rest area firmly. The wall gave her a lot of security. Just after Shi Qian said this, Wang Xia's body moved. The sound of breaking like a wooden stick rang from its joints, and the voice oozes cold sweat from Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing. The corpse of Wang Xia slowly handed the notebook in her arms to Shiqian. The latter took it steadily and spoke again. Very well, let's go. As if receiving an order, the corpse of Wang Xia got up with difficulty, without looking at Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing, and stepped toward the resting area with her legs like dead branches. The rotten pieces of meat on the surface of the corpse fell on the ground, making a light patter, mixing with the movement of the joints, resounding in this area like a symphony. Where does it go? Yang Xian couldn't help but ask. Shiqian turned his head and said with a smile, of course I go to wash my hands, otherwise how to eat? Yang Xian wanted to ask another question, why would it listen to you, but Yu Guang caught a glimpse of Qinan, who was still pouring blood on the ground, and he didn't dare. Soon, the corpse of Wang Xia came back, and she washed all the carrion and left her hands with white bones, and handed it to Shiqian, like a kid who asked for credit. Go ahead. The allowed Wang Xia walked towards Qinan who hadn't finished eating, and immersed herself in the meal. Until then, Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing suddenly discovered that there was no shadow on the corpse of Wang Xia on the ground. In the original seat, it was as dark as ink, and the silhouette of a human figure followed Shiqian's legs and crawled into his body. Ghosts and gods, when the san value is negative, there is a certain chance to order low-level ghosts at the same time. Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing also received prompts respectively. Lu Qingqing is the same. Ghost fragment, I don't know what it is. Tokichi carefully recalled the feeling just now, and the whole body seemed to be satisfied, just like what they wanted. It seems that the abnormal code prompt before, there is still weirdness in the coffee machine. But first confirming your guess is the main thing. After all, the main line of the novice dungeon is to escape, and now they don't even know where the exit is. What does it mean to have a lifespan? Do we only have one day to live? Yang Xian received the prompt again, obviously better than before. It seems that the adaptability is not bad, but Lu Qingqing was shocked again. There should be an explanation after going out. Just like playing a game, the plot will not officially enter until the end of the novice tutorial. Right, this was originally a horror game. How come out really on this notebook? Lu Qingqing looked at the black notebook in Shiqian's hand, and couldn't believe it. I'm not sure, let's take a look first. The three people gathered together and didn't care about the corpse that was feasting on the side. In fact, Wang Xia is already dead. The corpse is already a walking dead. The original strangeness is the ghost on the chair. Shi Qian understood just now. However, Wang Xia should have been attacked strangely after the power outage, and the specific time of death may be hidden. Shiqian opened the notebook, and the contents in it were completely different from what he had held before. Before, only the first few pages were copied notes, and the back was blank. Now when you open the first page, it is a diary, and the notes for training records are missing. On March 2nd, the weather was fine. Today, the guy asked me to go to the toilet again. I really don't know what kind of sentiment this stinky place has. I don't understand this guy. March 8th, the sky is clear and cloudless. The movement was so big that it was almost heard by a colleague who went to the toilet, and I could only hold back and dare not speak out. It was really getting more and more outrageous. March 19th, it rained. After the company turned off the lights tonight, I spent a full 3 hours working on it. I can't stand it anymore. This guy is still bringing others with him. Really? When I got home, my dear started to be a little suspicious. Torn paper. Yu reading www.yuyucananshu.com. Torn off paper. April 9th. I am so tired. April 30th. So be it. S diary ended abruptly on April 30th, with 2 pages missing. Lu Qingqing has red face and red ears. Where is this diary? Tokizan saw it with gusto. But thinking of the previous abnormal code prompt, Wang Xia after the weird invasion can avoid ghost attacks without speaking loudly. Could it be related to this content? With questions in mind, Shi Qian continued to turn back. Is not a diary at the back, it is more like a painting drawn by a person who just learned to sketch. The first page. The closed security door, a few people gathered around the door, seeming to be studying something, 1 or 2, exactly 6. This is not. Is it before us? Lu Qingqing and Yang Xian took a breath. They actually saw what happened before in Wang Xia's notebook. Tokichi continued to scroll backwards. The second page. The person in the painting who looks exactly like Yan Junyi, holding his mobile phone, looks at a figure leaning over the desk not far away. Page 3. Wang Xiudong was dragged away by ghosts. Fourth page. Shiqian, Lu Qingqing, Qinan and Yang Xian marched in the dark. Fifth page. Half of the corpse was lying on the ground, red paint was randomly smeared on the paper, and a black shadow was standing next to it. The brush looked a little messy, it seemed that the painter was impatient. Sixth page. The 3 people formed a group, staring at a black notebook, which was supposed to be a blank space, and one head hung on the desk in the rest area, watching all this. The rest area was just behind Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing. The 2 were so scared that they didn't care about the corpses lying on the ground eating meat. Hid directly behind Shi Qian, looking at the desk in the lounge area in horror. However, there is nothing, and there is no human head depicted in the painting. There is a rest area behind the 8 sales groups, which is different from the time when ghosts hit the wall before. Now the entire company's interior has returned to normal, and the outside light is not enough but it is enough. Shiqian glanced over, and the rest area had a panoramic view. There is nothing unusual. Shiqian, you are brave, why don't you go take a look? Lu Qingqing's voice trembled, remembering the scenes of Shiqian dealing with Wang Xia before, and she couldn't help but speak. He didn't even think about whether this sentence was a bit too much. Yang Xian didn't speak, he was also frightened by the notebook. So that both feet are a little bit swinging. Shiqian didn't say anything. He understood that the 2 people's minds were no longer in charge at the moment, and it was different from his own inaction. Ignoring the state of fear, he was not afraid at all. The coffee machine indicated by the previous abnormal code may be rewarding, and it just happens that I have the meaning to explore it myself. The previous hidden branch was completed and the ghost fragments were obtained. Although Shi Qian didn't know what it was for a while, it was definitely not a bad thing, let alone the life of the reward later. Who would dislike the short lifespan? No matter how long the lifespan is, it is useless to die under Li Gui's hands. Risks and benefits coexist. Shiqian closed the notebook and walked towards the coffee machine in the lounge area. Yang Xian clenched his fist unconsciously, with sweat in his palms. He couldn't understand why Shi Qian had such courage. Isn't this person afraid of death? Lu Qingqing's admiration for Shiqian at this moment has broken through the sky. Who gave this guy the courage? Although Shi Qian looks thin and weak, she has a good skin, but Lu Qingqing is not a member of the Appearance Association, so she has never caught a cold with Shi Qian. At this time, she understands, no wonder the big beauty of the company before REI will fall in love with him. This guy's specialty is here. Shiqian arrived in front of the coffee machine, but weirdly received an abnormal code prompt. Coffee machine, coffee beans were used to make coffee before the mutation, but now you can use unusual meat to make delicious plasma, and you can meet the needs of body function by drinking it in the transparent coffee pot above the coffee machine in front of him. There is a rat that is still twitching. The rat has no hair but rotten skin. The blood-red eyelids are constantly rolling, as if they will open soon. Why is there a dead mouse inside? The message of the abnormal code clearly told Shiqian that the dead mouse was put in before the treacherous change, and will soon resurrect after the treacherous change. Is it the manager? No reason. Shiqian quickly denied this speculation. Then a name appeared in his heart. As for the special meat prompted by the coffee machine, Shi Qian looked back at Qinan, who was about to be eaten, after thinking about it, and forgetting it. Yang Xian saw Shiqian turned around and made a gesture, "Are you okay?" Shiqian nodded, indicating that there was nothing unusual. On the side of is a sink for washing vegetables and fruits. Going inside, there are microwave ovens, refrigerators, etc., which are all commonly used electrical appliances. When Shiqian looked over it, there were no changes and prompts. It seems that only the coffee machine has some special functions. As for the dead rats, he will need to follow up verification. Just as Qian was about to return to Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing, the system prompt sounded in the three people's minds. "There is another ghost?" Shiqian was shocked. It was not an ordinary novice copy, mutation? Could it be that it has something to do with the mutation of your own body? Thousands of thoughts flow. At this time, various information about the body is also fed back. Ignore the fear state and disappear. It seems that the dead head in Wang Xia's notebook before does not mean that there is a dead head, but a wake-up call. There is another ghost in the sink. Yang Xian and Lu Qingqing watched when Shi Qian came back from the rest area slowly, their chins were shocked to the ground. The system prompt just now is not alone. Everyone in this copy has heard it. There is another ghost in the rest area. What is that? That's a ghost. Is even higher than the previous Wang Xia's horror level. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com has surpassed the novice copy, and the two of them thought of this unconsciously and looked behind them. There is only a pool of blood on the ground. Qin An's body has been completely eaten, and Wang Xia's treacherous body is also missing. Combined with the notice, it seems to have disappeared. Don't look, when you stared at me just now, Wang Xia's body disappeared. Shi Qian came to the two of them. In his field of vision just now, Wang Xia's corpse was facing herself, with two hanging eyes on her decomposed face looking at him. He didn't understand the emotion he expressed, but there seemed to be a kind of emotion. Ask. Then he received the prompt from the system. Fuck. System, you come out. I don't want to take the task. Nima, isn't this cheating? Shiqian had to accept this fact, but fortunately there was a month, which was a bit of a buffer. Chennan Garbage Treatment Station in Gangwon District, Shi Qian has never been to it. But the approximate location is known, it is not possible, and ferry navigation can be used. If I go there within a month, will it be too late? Even if Wang Xia's body is there, it will be disposed of. The federal infrastructure is still very successful, and the garbage in the garbage disposal station will basically be cleaned up within 3 days. But the system prompts this, then it proves that the corpse must still be there. Maybe something has changed there, just like my own company? What's wrong? What's the days? Lu Qingqing watched Shiqian walk up to him, but didn't say anything, just staring at her blankly. Her cheeks could not help but feel a fever. You can't be a ghost, right? Yang Xian quietly put his hand back to the back, and said nervously. Heard the two people's question. Throwing out these thoughts that have nothing to do with the present, Shi Qian focused his attention on the notebook again. It's okay, I just thought of something happy. The two are speechless. It's okay, it should be safe for at least half an hour. Shi Qian relieved the two, and then continued to flip the notebook back. Lu Qingqing and Yang Xian also looked nervously at the laptop. Is there really a way to get out? 7th page. The two looked back, the rest area was as usual, nothing unusual. One of them was standing in the rest area, in front of a coffee machine with black silk thread. The 8th page. There seemed to be a sound from the sewer, and a few verbal auxiliary words spread on the paper, like a cartoon. At the same time, 3 figures rushed quickly, and both feet had after images. The blank space in the forward direction reads the toilet. 9th page. The objects in the rest area collapsed, and they could only be recognizable by a sense of familiarity. A dazzling red burst out of the sewer opening, and one of the three opened his mouth to the bathroom door. Gone. Wang Xia's notebook ends here. Yang Xin glanced at Shiqian, thinking of something. Lu Qingqing asked suspiciously. Is the exit in the bathroom? Yang Xin looked at Shiqian and spoke softly. Su Lang. Yes, they didn't forget what Fatty Qin said before. There were 7 people in this copy. Before, there were only 6 people at the company's gate. The 7th person was Su Lang, who hadn't come out in the bathroom. At this moment, just like the drawing on the notebook, there was a gurgling sound from the sewer in the rest area, and something seemed to be slowly climbing up. Go! Shiqian made a decisive decision and immediately rushed towards the bathroom, although he limped and looked extremely funny. A horrible atmosphere is spreading in the rest area, and he feels very obvious when he has a ghost. Yang Xin and Lu Qingqing did not hesitate either. After the baptism of the Wangxia incident, it is obvious that both of them have a lot of psychological quality, and gradually mastered the rules of this thriller game. No matter how horrible the incident is, there is always a solution. All I have to do is to find clues as much as possible and survive. Of course, Shiqian's method is not impossible. All your fears are just because the firepower is not strong enough. The rest area is not very far from the bathroom, and soon the 3 of them came to the door. Su Lang's location is naturally the men's room. I didn't know who was in charge of the decoration at the beginning, so I added a thick solid wood door with a lock to the toilet. Could it prevent the smell? May also be related to other kinds of fun. Shizhen tried to push the door, but it was locked from the inside. Is Su Lang really not dead inside? Lu Qingqing's face is reddened. This is the men's room she has never been to, but at this time it is important to escape, and there is a ghost who is about to come out, and she doesn't care about so many. Shiqian nodded, and the movement in the rest area behind him grew louder and louder, and a faint gurgling sound came into the ears of the 3 of them. Do not care. This movement directly stimulated Yang Xin, and he couldn't control that much, so he kicked directly towards the solid wooden door. Motionless. Fuck, why is it different from the movie? Shiqian almost laughed angrily, pulled Yang Xin aside and knocked on the door. It's a pity that my right foot is in a lame state tonight, and the vigorous King Kong leg can't be used at all, otherwise just kick it away. 5 times the strength is enough. Su Lang. I know you are inside, open the door. The sound echoed through the wooden door in the bathroom, gradually becoming smaller. Is silent. After a long time, Lu Qingqing was about to ask if he was looking for a tool to break in. The metal mop in their women's toilet was good. Su Lang's voice came from the door. Shiqian? Oh, what a pity, you are not dead yet. Hearing these words, Shiqian's pupils shrank, and his previous guess was confirmed. The dead mouse in the coffee machine was put by Su Lang. After finishing the training tonight, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Su Lang deliberately invites everyone to drink milk tea, because he knows that Shiqian does not drink milk tea at all, coffee is his favorite. That's why he stayed in the smoking room until Shiqian appeared to pick up coffee, and then left. He had planned for a long time, and it was not difficult to imagine what was in that mouse. Perhaps there is a part of this factor in the variation of my body. In the past 6 months, Su Lang has deliberately or unintentionally pried customers away from him. He has never understood why. Perhaps he can get the answer tonight. You put the mouse in the coffee machine, right? So what? Does the dead mouse taste good? My client also pried the past. That's right. Why? I don't seem to offend you anywhere, right? So that you used such a vicious method. Across the wooden door, Shiqian's conversation with Su Lang stunned Yang Xin and Lu Qingqing. The dead mouse in the coffee machine? Prying customers? What happened between these 2 people? Fortunately, I didn't drink coffee tonight, but Su Lang bought it. Damn, is this guy already prepared to do this? Combining the conversation between the two, Yang Xin and Lu Qingqing also suddenly realized. Lu Qingqing is not very familiar with Su Lang, but Yang Wenli, who has resigned, had a good relationship with her before, but after Yang Wenli left, they never contacted her again. Why? Ha ha ha, you still don't know why. What kind of ability to come secretly, being a man is upright. The movement behind him is getting louder and louder, Shiqian's forehead overflows with sweat, stimulating Su Lang inside with fierce words. Okay. I'll tell you why the today. Yang Wenli. Dead. She's dead. Su Lang's words caused Shi Qian to be struck by lightning. Some memories appeared. 6 months ago, after he broke up with Yang Wenli, the latter seemed to have disappeared. Shi Qian, who felt a little owed, tried to contact her but was unsuccessful. I thought she was already changed places to start again. But now Su Lang says she is dead? Shiqian didn't notice, and he kept holding the notebook in his hand. Paintings began to appear strangely, and the rustling sound was silent. In the painting, in the bathroom, Su Lang twisted his face, leaning against the door. Through the narrow glass of moonlight, it can be seen that the shadow on the ground is no longer in human form, more like an evil ghost. The sharp howling tone continued to be heard from the door, completely out of the category of human voice. This watch, she deserves it. Even if she breaks up with you, she doesn't want to take a second look at me, and would rather die than succumb, ha 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 ha. Pooh. Distorted and arrogant laughter came from the bathroom. Shi Qian lowered his head, his face was covered with darkness, and he couldn't see his expression clearly. You killed her? Me? No. It's all to blame on you. It's all your fault. Lu Qingqing covered her mouth. Unbelievable, the girl who laughed so sweetly in the memory, died? Su Lang's laughter scared her back and shrank. What was inside the door was a person. Still a ghost? An anger from deep in my heart covers Shi Qian's soul. Although the original body has been arguing with Yang Wenli constantly, there is still some emotion in the end. 6 months ago, Shiqian broke up with Yang Wenli because it happened to be the accidental death of the original Shiqian. To Shiqian, whose soul came through, Yang Wenli was like a half-stranger, and her relationship had been broken. With a slight cleanliness addiction, he simply broke up directly. But I never expected that Su Lang, who was in the same dormitory with me, had been trying to her, and after breaking up with Yang Wenli, he... Su Lang, are you crazy? Yang Xin couldn't believe what he had heard. Normally, his relationship with Su Lang is not very good, but it is not indifferent. After all, Su Lang's performance is at the top of the entire sales team. I have eaten with him several times and asked for some things. But the person in the door now makes him feel so strange. I'm crazy? Ha ha ha, she asked for it. Her death was all caused by time. Su Lang leaned against the door, and the darkness in his heart continued to permeate. An indescribable pleasure emerged in his body, without noticing that in the bathroom mirror, half of his face had begun to change. At this time, Shi Qian was already almost unable to restrain the anger in his heart. And at this moment, Shi Qian's Wangxia notebook was drawing at an extremely fast speed, as if an invisible paintbrush was dancing. Not only that, but in the rest area behind him, a lot of blood has begun to gush out of the sewer, and it gradually spread to the corridor of the bathroom, and blood blisters on the surface continued to burst. At this time the three people noticed that Wangxia's notebook was weird. Draw on. A round head squeezed out of the narrow drain, and the two eyeballs were tilted to each side, as if observing the surroundings. The rustling kept on. The head rolled down to the ground with the paintbrush, and then another head was squeezed out from the drain, exactly the same as before. Painting continues. On the floor of the rest area, the desks were full of heads, densely packed, and even an old coffee pot was squeezed into it, and there was the resurrected dead mouse in its mouth, but the mouse's head was gone. Click! It seemed that something broke, and the last painting was only half painted and stopped abruptly. In the painting, half of the elevator appears strangely on the third partition of the bathroom. Terminated, Wang Xiao's notebook slowly disappeared from Shi Qian's hand, and the prompt ended here. The exit is on the third partition of the bathroom. Yang Xin looked at the entire process, and was a little unsure. Who would have thought that the company's door was not an exit, but an elevator appeared in the bathroom? I'm going to find someone to make sense. At this time, Su Lang inside hadn't heard outside sounds for a long time. Instead, some water became louder and louder, as if something else had fallen on the ground. It seems that what the person in his body told him is correct, there is a ghost outside, and there is more than one. The exit will appear in the bathroom 5 minutes later. Yang Xin's last words convinced him even more. Yes, the exit is inside, but the ghosts outside of you are about to come, right? Haha, let Yang Wenli go to the funeral. The movement behind him is getting louder and louder, and some dead people's heads are already rolling over. Lu Qingqing's face pales, and he yells at the bathroom. Su Lang! You're so crazy! You don't deserve it! Su Lang, Yang Xin did not offend you before? I invited you to dinner several times. You opened the door. What is the matter with Shiqian? You read the book www.yuyuganshu.com, you solve it alone and let me leave. How about it? Yang Xin did not continue to force Su Lang, he tried to use his previous relationship to see if he could let Su Lang open the door. But Su Lang's next words directly killed them. No, you don't think that after hearing my secret, I will let you live, right? You too underestimate my chosen body master. The tone of the first sentence is somewhat normal, and the second sentence is not only inexplicable, but the voice is completely different from the way people speak. Lu Qingqing's face was desperate, and Yang Xin's face was even more sullen, ready to say something. In a second, the loud noise directly blew the ears of the two people. Su Lang in the bathroom only felt a huge force coming from the solid wooden door he was leaning against, and then he directly smashed his body on the sink. The glass shattered all over the floor, and some of it even got stuck in the flesh on his face, making it bloody. Say, how do you want to die? The deep voice echoed in the bathroom. Shi Qian put down his legs, and his whole body was completely dark. An unresolved ghost image attached to his body, revealing a gloomy breath. Yang Xin and Lu Qingqing on the side hurriedly avoided to the side, towards the third compartment of the bathroom. Walked quickly. In just a few seconds, frost has appeared on their clothes. Ahem, it's impossible. You obviously drank poisonous coffee, and you won't die. Su Lang on the ground couldn't pay attention to the glass on his face, and said in surprise. Shiqian couldn't see clearly until he was too close. Half of Su Lang's face had rotted and deteriorated, revealing white cheekbones, his back was reflected by the broken mirror, his teeth and claws were open. Half of people, half of ghosts.